Good afternoon to all of you. I have an opening statement. Copy will be distributed or may have been distributed. Let me read the statement. It will only take 160 minutes. So you'll have to be patient. We've just heard the longest budget speech delivered by a finance minister in recent years. It lasted all of 160 minutes. If therefore all of you are exhausted, as I am, I would not blame you. The only way I can help is by keeping the opening statement brief. I am at a loss to understand what was the message intended to be conveyed by Budget 2020-21. I'm also not able to recall any memorable idea or statement in the speech. The takeaway from the budget speech are the following. 1. The government has given up on reviving the economy or accelerating the growth rate or promoting private investment or increasing efficiency or creating jobs or winning a greater share of world trade. 2. There were multiple themes, segments, and programs, leaving the listener dazed and confused. It was a laundry list of old, that is, current programs. I'm pretty certain that even the most loyal BJP MP or supporter cannot latch on to any idea or statement in the budget speech and take it to the people. If the ongoing programs have failed the people, how can throwing more, or in some cases less, money into the ongoing programs change anything? 3. The BJP government has been identified with debatable positions like self-reliance, protectionism, control, and aggressive taxation. The budget affirms those positions. The government does not really believe in a market economy, competition, or higher trade intensity. The chief economic advisor must be a very disappointed man. 4. The government is in complete denial that the economy faces a grave macroeconomic challenge and the growth rate has declined in 6 successive quarters. There is nothing in the budget that leads us to believe that growth will revive in 2020-21. The claim of and starved. The FM has not acknowledged these 2 challenges, and that is a pity. Consequently, will not turn around and there will be no relief to the millions of poor and the middle class. 6. Food subsidy has been reduced. Fertilizer subsidy has been reduced. The petroleum subsidy has been marginally increased because of anticipated increase in oil prices. It appears that the people will not get any relief on the price front. Please remember that CPI inflation is over 7% and food inflation is over 10%. 7. The finance minister failed miserably on marksmanship. In 2019-20, the current year, she failed to meet any of the key budget estimate targets: nominal GDP growth, fiscal deficit, net tax revenue collection, disinvestment revenue, or total expenditure. There is no assurance that she will meet the targets set for 2020-21. 8. The government does not believe in reforms and certainly not in structural reforms. The FM has outright rejected every, and I repeat, every reform idea contained in the economic survey. I wonder, did the FM read the economic survey? I also wonder, was the chief economic advisor privy to the contents of the budget speech? I think the answer to both questions is in the negative. So that is your budget for 2020-21. You did not ask for such a budget, and you did not deserve such a budget for voting the BJP to power. But you have to live with it until the government is forced to revise it, as it did in 2019.
Any questions? We'll take it. We'll start with you.
Sir, I just want to know whether the Congress party welcomes the income tax relief in terms of, for the salaried classes. There has been some reduction, and of course, Nirmala Sitharaman says that the exceptions will be removed. And then, of course, the other aspect about the fact that there's going to be disinvestment of, once again, LIC and IDBI. So do you think that is in the correct direction?
See, as far as the personal income tax relief is concerned, of course, we would welcome any relief given to the income tax payers in the lower brackets. But whether it is 40,000 crore is a big question mark, because it is subject to the condition that you can't avail of exemptions. It's only when you trade off the exemption and the relief, you can really arrive at the relief. If they've finally thrown some crumbs at the lower tax bracket, I mean, it's not a matter to be welcomed or congratulated about, but any relief to the lower income tax bracket, we welcome it. As far as IDBI is concerned, that was a decision taken last year. So it's not a new decision, so I don't have to make a new comment on that. As far as LIC is concerned, it's highly debatable. To assume that every public sector must go through a process of disinvestment, partial or whole, is wrong. LIC actually has increased its share of first premium income in the last year, as reported by the chairman. It has gained in competition with very strong private sector players. So we will internally debate it within the party, and we will give our view on the floor of Parliament. But I think it's a highly debatable proposition. Yes.
Yes, sir.
What do you think of the tax exemption on the sovereign wealth funds? Do you think that this would bring in some money into the infrastructure sector?
She announced it last year. She reiterated it this year.
Yeah, but there hasn't been any.
No, last year she didn't raise any money. But today, the external market conditions are certainly not favorable for a sovereign wealth fund. If the world economy is going to slow down and oil prices will rise, or there's going to be conflict in some theaters, I don't know what the external situation will be. They announced it last year. They didn't raise any money. If they have announced it again this year, I doubt whether they'll be able to raise any significant amount of money. The better course is to allow a quasi-sovereign to raise money abroad, and that will benchmark where your sovereign rating is. The obvious quasi-sovereign is the State Bank of India. Well, I think you stopped counting at 3. I had 3, and under each one of the 3 there were some numbers, and under each one of those numbers there were some other numbers. So if you multiplied, I think it came to close to 100. I think she lost count somewhere along her speech. I lost count midway in her speech. How do you call it a budget for caring society? I've just given you, food subsidy has been reduced. Fertilizer subsidy has been reduced. We have to get into the details to find out what is the allocation for specific programs that are targeted at midday meal scheme also. The RE is less and the BE is at the same level as last year. PM Kisan, the RE is less, the PE is the same as last year. So I think this talk about caring society is more words than deeds. Once we drill into the numbers, we will know how caring they are or how uncaring they are.
But what about aspirational India? Because all the opposition parties are saying that the burning issue of unemployment is somewhere not touched upon by this budget.
That's true. That's what I said. Surprisingly, the president's speech did not utter a word about employment. And I commented on that yesterday. The Economic Survey has a chapter on employment, but it makes this extraordinary claim that new firm registrations have increased 12.2% in the 5-year period of the BJP government, and every 10% increase has boosted GDP by 1.8%. Now, where are these firms? Are they on another planet or are they in India? I mean, I travel around. I don't see any firms. All I can hear is stories about firms closing down, not firms starting. I think this budget has also done nothing to create jobs. The 3 job-creating sectors are mining, construction, and manufacturing. Now tell me anything in this budget, which gives a boost to mining, construction, or manufacturing. There's nothing for mining, construction, or manufacturing. So these are the 3 job-creating sectors.
So on a scale of 10, how would you rate this budget? How many marks are you going to give to Nirmala Sitharaman?
10 has got a 1 or a 0. You can pick either a number. 10 has got a 1 and a 0. You can pick either number. I'm okay with it.
So this is regarding the archaeological art-site museum in Adishwara, Tamil Nadu. So would you like to comment anything? Because when Finance Minister was mentioning, it mentioned as a Saraswati Hindu civilization instead of because based on the reports we are getting in Kiradi, it's actually a Dravidian civilization.
No, I think she mentioned some other place, not Kirladi.
She mentioned Rakhi Gadi as
Where is that? No, I know in Tamil Nadu, but where in Tamil Nadu? It's not Kirladi. Thoothukudi. No, I have no complaint if there is archaeological site in Thoothukudi. Well, I was disappointed that she didn't name Kirladi. Kirladi is a authentic and a pure Dravidian civilization. I don't know what the Thoothukudi site is. Since I don't know, I can't answer. But why she emphasized repeatedly Sindhu Saraswati civilization, she should have also acknowledged that there is an equally ancient, equally famous civilization called the Dravidian civilization, and there is huge amount of evidence that has been excavated at Kirladi.
In this budget, the dividend distribution tax has been abolished. Do you see that as a progressive measure?
No, I don't. You see, you can have 2 views on DDT, but undoubtedly it is one of the most efficient taxes levied by the government of India. There is no scope for evasion in a DDT. So every pie that is collectible as tax on dividend will be collected. Now today, they've abolished DDT, obviously as a sop to corporates, especially foreign corporates. And now they'll have to go after the recipient of the dividend to collect the tax. Now, whether they succeed in collecting all the taxes is a moot point, but I'm pretty certain there will be a loss of revenue in substituting DDT by the traditional tax on dividends.
Sir, Government of India made a huge allocation for two new UTs, one Ladakh and Jammu Kashmir, the second one. It's around 36,000 crore. So how do you see and what would you like to comment?
Money is no substitute for freedom. What the people of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh require is freedom. What the people of the Kashmir Valley require is restoration of their human rights. Only a free society, people breathing free air, can enjoy the fruits of development and participate in the development process. Money is no substitute for freedom. If they think that they can take away freedom and substitute it by money, they are completely wrong. I will restore freedom first and then give money.
What fiscal deficit is 3.8 instead of 3.3, and even the next year she has now put it only to 3.5. So
Which means they are no longer on the fiscal consolidation path. This government has given up on fiscal consolidation. I'm sorry to say that, but every analyst around the world, every investor will take note of this fact that this government has given up on fiscal consolidation. 3.8 is also not counting the off-budget items, and 3.5 is also not counting the off-budget items. And after borrowing an additional 69,000 crore rupees, they still don't meet their total expenditure target. So where did this money go? We'll have to drill into the numbers to find out where this money actually went.
Depositor insurance coverage has been increased. Now, does one celebrate or reflect more that it seems that our savings in the banks may not necessarily be safe? Because
Well, they've increased it to 5 lakhs. About, I think 70 or 75% of deposits have only less than 5 lakhs. They are covered. But I have never felt that our banks were unsafe and our deposits were unsafe. And to even imply that public sector banks were unsafe is, I think, unnecessarily dragging them into a controversy. I think the correct approach is to ensure that the regulator ensures that every bank has adequate capital adequacy. They meet capital adequacy ratios, meet solvency ratios, meet the reserve ratios. If all these ratios are met, there is no reason to assume that the deposits are unsafe. So capital adequacy ratio, solvency ratio, and the reserve ratio, if they are met, I wouldn't worry about deposit insurance. But since they have given deposit insurance, well, we take it, we accept it.
So my question is, do you think new tax charter will really address the issue of tax terrorism,
What new tax charter?
which the government is going to bring?
Oh, they're going to make one.
Yeah, exactly.
When they make,
Finance minister made a focus on that.
well, why was this charter necessary? This charter was necessary because in the last 6 years, they gave extraordinary powers to the lowest official in every department. Income tax, excise, DRI, ED. The lowest official was given extraordinary powers, and they criminalized most laws. Now she's talking about decriminalizing the laws. She's talking about have a charter. Now, you invited this trouble. They're now trying to unscramble a scrambled egg. Let's see how much they succeed. But I think the message has gone out across the country that under this government, every department of government with investigative powers, is a tool of oppression, is a tool of extortion, and a tool of harassment.
My question is that there was a lot of Kashmiri poetry also which was recited. And one of the Kashmiri MP, the MP from Kashmir, Dr. Farooq was there, where the opposition has said that he should be brought back. What to make of the situation?
See, all these weak and hypocritical attempts to appease the Kashmiri people will not succeed. What they need is freedom. Remember, since August 5, freedoms have been taken away from the Kashmir Valley. People are still in custody without charges. The world has taken note of the fact that India has denied freedom to 75 lakh people in the Kashmir Valley for over 6 months. The first thing that the government should do is to restore the freedom. It's only after you restore freedom you can talk about other things like money or poetry.
Mr. Chidambaram, the defense budget under the capital expenditure had been increased only by 10,000 crores. In the face of so much of militarism and claims of threat from all around. How do you read that?
It is for the new Secretary, Department of Military Affairs and the Chief of Defense Staff to protest loudly. I want him to protest loudly. I hope he will.
On behalf of all the three armed forces or only for military?
No, he is the Chief of Defense Staff and he is the Department of Military Affairs. So I want him to protest loudly, and I assure him our voice will join him in protesting loudly. But he should lead the protest.
Thank you. Thank you so much.